Sindarov is just really, really running away with his candidates at the moment. Crazy, crazy stuff. Okay. Let's jump in to the pool. I think we are 1955 rated, so hopefully we might be able to cross 2000. But okay, knight f6. Let me get the players here. 4. Okay, here we go. So Firelink 120, 1942, pretty strong opponent. Okay. This could be a London. Let's play a kind of King's Indian style setup, see what happens. I've been playing the c5 variation lately. Okay. That'll be right up front. Like, I don't really know any real theory when it comes to this. So I think our opponent is trying to transition us kind of into kind of like a paired setup where they're able to push e4, so we're just going to stop that. And if they play c4, we will defend the pawn. c6, okay. That's okay. So nothing too special at the moment. We just develop our pieces. I'm tempted to play this, but often they just want to give this bishop away when they're playing the Versov or whatever this is called. See, I would provoke the weakness, but there is a distinct possibility that they may want to castle queenside, and then we're only helping their cause. So we could sack a pawn here, and get our knight out, because I don't want to block the bishop in quite yet. But okay. Let's just play this. We'll just play it normally. Develop. If they castle, then we'll play the bishop here, provoke this weakness, and drop the bishop back here, most likely. Okay. Stopping us playing that. We could play this. These plans aren't usually that great, but I don't really see what else we have to do in the position, really. And hopefully this can force the position open somewhat. So we can start to get something a little more interesting happening in the game. I would love to bring this knight back to support this, but then we can't push it because the bishop actuates the queen. There's the possibility that he may play this. If that happens, then I may indeed play this. We can go here, they can go back, and then I will support the pawn again with f3. Here, here. Probably this knight. Here, here. Bishop has to move. We can secure our pawn in the center. I am keeping an eye on this. because our pawn in the center isn't well supported with this knight. Preferably, I would have actually liked to develop it to d7. But I just didn't want to block in the bishop quite yet. Okay, there we go. We could do this. It's not really going anywhere. Our bishop really doesn't have that good of a home at the moment. And I'm just trying to check if we do this and we drop it back, does it change anything? It does. If they don't kick the bishop away, it does help us support this. Right? Because they can no longer take with the knight. So if they take here and here, then we have a fantastic position. They can drop the bishop back, of course. Okay, let's try it. We're down on the clock. Let's just play some moves. Hoping to provoke this. Then we'll drop our bishop back here. Takes, here. And I haven't thought that far ahead. Maybe here. Let me lose a pawn. Also worth noting, if they do that, we can't bring the knight back here to attack the pawn. They can push it again, which I'm not a fan of. So let's just go here. Let's say here, 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 fork. If I draw those arrows correctly. Thankfully, we have evened up on time. But let's say here, once we get this in, if they play this first, okay. I think I like that move for us. Here. I think. Now, of course, this is a blunder. But a tempting move for sure. Okay. Here and here. I would like the center opened a little bit, but okay. Here. I don't know, let's take. I think this might be a good time for this, just to free this knight up. So let's do it. Let's go. We go here. He's got this tempo move, so I don't really want to allow that. Although here, that does work. Here. Okay, can take, and then takes. Okay, here. Obviously, if he takes the queen, then we're up a piece. So here, takes, and the knight is pinned. And we can simply take this pawn. Okay, maybe that does work. And then if they go here, I don't think we have enough in the attack, is the thing. But okay, here, here. Hold on. Here. Check. Doesn't work. Okay. Doesn't work. Always got to look for one more move at the end of the line. One more move. Okay. I don't see any reason to give away the bishop pair right now. It's really a question of whether we want to go here or we want to go here. I mean, if they want to chase the bishop away again here, that I would welcome that 1,000 times. So maybe we can go here and here. Okay, let's try this. You can't do this. I see that. Okay. Definitely seems like a good move. Here. I think this is the idea, and he can sink his teeth into this. Right? This is what price we pay for not supporting our central pawn. But then, I mean, do I have to take, if he goes here, we go here, I think. Because if he takes, then we just go here. And we're blockading the IQ piece. So I think I'm okay for the moment. Okay. Maybe he wants here. And maybe I do want to prevent that. So let's go here. Prevent this. If he goes here, I go here. And the bishop is not lost, because he can go here. Excuse me. And then here, so we do have to be careful about that. Okay, so this might be better anyway. Okay, this might be a better square anyway. He has to defend the bishop. Oh no, the bishop can go here, I guess. But at least this move supports the central pawn. Now this is annoying, but not... Okay. We do have this here, here, here. We can't do this here. If we can get this knight out of the way, this pawn falls, kind of. Here, here, here. Okay, let's try. At least let's get this knight moving. Let's get it moving. This is the obvious move. Do we have anything there? Do we have anything there? If he takes with the knight, we can't take with the pawn because this is a fork, I think. Opponent's pieces are pretty well placed. We definitely didn't play this well. I think we have to take here. And then we gotta be careful for things like this. Well, we can move there. No, we can't. We have to move back because they're threatening this. Although in that position, this pawn hangs. Okay. So here, say here, here. Whoops. Oh, that was almost bad. Here, here, here. And I'm trying to see if he goes here. No, I need to move it first because even though we can take here, I don't think there's a follow-up after this. He can play that right now. And he definitely does lose the pawn. He can play this. But then, can we play this? Here, here, here. Oops. So, here immediately. Here, here, here. We can't actually access any of those squares unless we take this, which could work. But here, here, sorry, here, 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 and then he brings the other knight there. This knight's supported, defends this bishop, but then we take the bishop. So here, 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 here. Then he can take this knight here. You can push this. Well, we may have a draw there. If here, 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 here means we can check. And he goes here. This goddamn pawn's still there. Here, here, and then check here. But that's guarded by the knight. Okay. If he moves here, we may just have to take this knight immediately. Here, here. I think he has to recapture. He can. Here, 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 here. We just take. That's an exchange. Here, here, here. Now here, here, here. I think I would also be pretty happy if he goes here just to take this immediately because it allows our rook to come up here. We can double rooks, get out of this pin. Our opponent taking a very long think here. I think they're most likely going to play rook to e1. So with that in mind, if they play this, without them moving this knight, this doesn't work because here, here, here. Sorry, here, 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 here. And we can't attack anything there. We are attacking the bishop, is the thing. but we can't. So the knight's defended. So if they go here, 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 here. Now what do they play next? That's the thing. They might just take our knight. Here, here. This knight has to move somewhere. Its only square, I think, is back where the other knight was. And that doesn't help us. We can take the pawn. So here, here, here. Because this is likely what we're going to get on the board. Here, 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 here. Oh, there we have this. Because this pawn is pinned. So there is our draw, I think. That's our draw. Okay, okay. Okay. So here, 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 here. Takes, takes. The knight has to go somewhere. If it goes here, if it goes there, if it goes there, I think we still do this here. Yes, there. He may try to take this. Okay. Thinking that we've hung the bishop, which we kind of have. But then we're going to check here. Oh, no, 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 because... Oh, there's a pawn there. There's a pawn on e4. Here. Here, here. Here. Takes, takes. Takes, takes. Here. 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 Now he doesn't have to move the knight, but he will once he plays this. Here. Here. And let's say he puts the knight here. Okay, on the board, on the board. So let's finish this here. Okay. Oh, oh no, 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 no. We win the, so here, 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 takes the knight, here. Now, do we take that? Do we take that? We can take this here. That's a check. He can go here. Then we take the rook. Ooh. Here. 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 Now that's if the knight goes to h2. Here. And if he takes this knight, which he may not. He could take our knight on c6, something like that. So say here, here. Say he does go back. Then we take. Ah, that line doesn't work. I keep forgetting there's a pawn. There is a pawn on e4. That line doesn't work. God damn it. Here, here. We've got time, though. We've got a little bit of a time advantage. Let's use it here. Here. Maybe he won't take the knight. In which case, what do we do? Here, here, here. Because it's, I guess the thing is that we can check here if he doesn't. Say he takes this knight here, here, then maybe here, here. If he goes there, then our tactic may work. I don't think it works. I don't think it works. I mean, the same thing might exist. The same tactical sequence may exist in a different form if we just bring the queen back to c8. One more time. Here, 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 here. Okay. Now if he goes down this line, here, 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 then we can take here. Okay, can we get a draw though? Here, 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 here. You know, I'm just tempted to go for it. Okay, here. Here, here, here. Oh, no, not there. Here, here. That's not a check, that's the thing. You can go here. That might be our best option. Here, here, here. Here, here. That might save him there, that might save him. We can't just take this pawn. Okay. Not to panic, he is threatening this though. Here. 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 Can we take the pawn here? Here, 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 here. Say here, here. I think that wins. Woo! Ho, 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 ho. There was a good bit of luck involved in that. There was a good bit of luck involved in that. Wow. Okay, well, I think the tactic worked out in the end, but not for the reasons I had initially foreseen. It did become very complicated. I was very much at the tippy edge of where I was able to calculate. And let's go through the game. Hopefully they haven't analyzed it. They have. God damn it. Let's get rid of board annotations. Okay. Let's turn the engine off. So opening's not great. I think that the issue in this game for us positionally is going to have arisen from my insistence on wanting to play bishop g5 just to induce this weakness. Now, if it turns out that our tactic was actually sound and it did win, then it's completely justified. But positionally, just to say up front, I don't think it was. I think playing c6 was necessary for us positionally, but we will check it with the engine. But that is the first thing. I played this and I just thought, because I wanted to play this, I would love to play both moves at the same time. I'd love to go here. I'd love for him to have castled already for me to be able to go here and then put the knight behind it, but it wasn't. And we could have done this, but anything else, I think we could have maybe played this, something stupid like that, but all very slow, don't really do anything. At least this developed a piece. However, let me turn computer analysis off as well. Okay. We played this. I also don't love playing this move in these kind of King's Indian kind of structures, especially if they are able to break through here, get a bishop on this diagonal. This becomes very weak. I was kind of just didn't know what else to play. I feel like if we do this, provoke this too early, come back, maybe this happens and they already have a pre-made attack coming down here with the pawn storm, so didn't really want to do that. Now the castle, now we play this, we break in the center using tactics. They can of course play this. So I wanted to open up the center a little bit so that we could get a little bit more room to start attacking here. It will be interesting to see. I wanted to play this, and if they played g4, that would be great because they would weaken the king position so much. But I did, the reason for inducing this and creating this kind of hook was that I've foreseen that there was potential that we could have had this battery, and I needed the battery to be this way around. If I brought the bishop back to here, the queen's already kind of in front of the bishop, so I wouldn't be able to sacrifice it. And at the moment, this bishop is really sitting on us and preventing us from further sort of expanding King's Indian style. So I thought this, and the point is that if I can get this to move and maybe come in here, then there's ways that I can start to get this bishop at least to move. If not winning it, then at least getting it to move. Because if I play here and he takes and takes here, that's fantastic. I want rid of this bishop to start getting these kingside pawns moving once we have this hook. So in a way, you might look at this this bishop g4 move and think it's very superficial, like it's not doing much. I said from the very beginning when I wanted to play it, the only reason for me playing it was that I wanted to induce this little hook on h3, and we got it. So I come back here. I was considering what might happen if he played this. And I think at that stage, I think we would have just brought the bishop back. He has to defend this pawn somehow, so he can move the other knight here, I guess. But once we get a nice centralized square for our knight, this pawn isn't hanging, but you can see that once we get our pieces out of the way, the queen can start to enter the position in ways that can start to attack these weaknesses. So I think positionally this is probably the best move, which makes this rook look really dumb. The only thing it's there for is really to help push this pawn later on. But if they have to play this, then it's not really doing anything. So we induced that little hook. I didn't want to take, and as I said previously, this bishop being on this diagonal can be quite problematic when you have moved the rook, and if we have to defend the pawn like this, we're walking into another pin. We can of course start harassing this bishop and pushing it back, but this kind of can make the king side quite safe, even if we do push the pawns up and break this little knight bishop pawn construction is quite solid, especially when it's supported by all of white's other pieces. So wasn't quite what I was looking for. I do need those pieces to move away from their posts in some way, so I decided to just leave the pawn, not do anything about it. We played this. I have a feeling this is going to be an inaccuracy of some kind, but I didn't want to allow queenside expansion, and it's just a useful prophylactic move. It is also kind of a weakness a little bit, but it's hard for white to exploit it right away. So it's weak now, but so long as this rook's guarding it, we do also have the option of pushing it up here and then breaking the queenside pawn structure apart. So we play this useful little prophylactic move. They succumb to temptation, and we bring the queen here. So this is a nice central square. We're immediately putting pressure on the bishop. We are again putting pressure on this pawn. We're defending this knight, we're defending this knight, and this pawn. And this diagonal now is much harder to exploit for white. So they go here, and I think this is probably the best move in the position. Opens the file to get the rook into attack position, pins our knight unless we want to give away the exchange, which we kind of did, but our tactics allowed us to do so. I might have a useful example to show you from a game yesterday of something similar, where you use tactics to allow your opponent to sometimes capture a lot of material, but you have a greater goal in mind. Okay, so we centralize our knight. Can't be a bad move, I don't think. And this is the position that I'm sure they spent over 8.5 minutes calculating this. Hello, Hikaru. 8.5 minutes calculating this. And even though we spent all of that time calculating, there were so many options. It was part of the reason why I was initially hesitant to go for this, is because there are so many options after the fact for in terms of moves for white. Like once this would happen here, they can take this knight, they can move this knight, they can, bring this rook in here. But I know that blunders the rook, but they could go here. A lot of our tactics were to do with this, or this. And initially I was struggling to visualize the position after he takes this knight, because this pawn, I kept forgetting that this pawn was here. So the tactics connected with this didn't necessarily work, because the way this would work is that we would we would take here. They would take, presuming this knight went here, say. We give this check because this pawn is pinned, right? They can't take it because our bishop pins the pawn. So we give this check here, and a lot of the tactics that I was thinking about were connected with our ability to then take this rook. Take this rook with check. Come here. King moves, takes, and this all comes with check. So I don't think they have time in this line. So say here, 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 here. And this was the other thing, is that tempo for tempo, like we can take here, but they can take here. We can take, they can take, we can take, they can take, we can take. And I think we're just out of peace. So that's what was confusing me, and it all kind of stems from the fact that at no point can we take this with check, because there's a lot of intermezzo moves that we can make there, okay? So we can take, say they go back here, we take this pawn, they take the bishop. Now just imagine the e-pawn's not there. Check, you say here, because if the king goes here, it's immediate mate, so the king has to go to h1. There. Now we can take, and take, right? And all of a sudden, there's a mate threat, because we can slide in here possibly, if the knight ever moves, and I think that might work out. And it means that they don't have this this rook to take at the end. So they go here, and this is where they spent their 8.5 minutes. Now we had just under 5.5 minutes left on the clock, and even though I'd spent their entire 8 minutes calculating everything, I still could not make this work. But then I seen a secondary idea where we go here, because this is supported by the bishop. So we take here, noticing that there are lollies made, or lobster pins, or whatever we want to call it. So here, they take the rook. We check here. Now we are threatening immediate mate, right? Because if the king moves, this is mate. So we take, they take, we check. If they take with the knight, we go here. They have to take with the queen. We go here. Now they did it in the reverse order. They did it. They took the queen. Then we took with the pawn. And then they realized that this was a mating square, so they have to take the pawn. And I think we are no doubt in a winning position there, and I think we can win more material with this check. As I said, they can come in here. We can start to expand here, but I think it's too slow to actually win the piece. Yeah, I think it's too slow to actually win the piece, because they are pointing at this pawn as well. So I think what would have been best is if we just took this pawn. We just take that pawn, and I think from that point we can get stuff. And it also gives our king a square, because at the moment there isn't an awful lot of squares. Now, one of the things I was trying to think about was after they brought the bishop back and we went here, let's just go to the position. So here. After we go here and they go here, I was trying to figure out a way to check the king, or at least somehow recapture this bishop where the rook was going to be supported, but I couldn't see anything. So I think in all likelihood we would have just taken the pawn here. Maybe they can go here, and I think we can just continue to take pawns. No, we can't. No, we can't. Yes, we can. Oh, hello. They can't go here or here. They have to go here. If they go here, we win another rook. Thank you. Okay. That's completely winning. So they can't do that. They have to go here. No. here. Is there a way to check the king? Here, here, here. If only I could get rid of this rook. Anyway, pretty winning position there, I think. I'm not sure if they take here. It just doesn't make any difference. We're just going to mate here. Yeah, I think they just have to sack the queen. They just have to sack the queen. So, going back from the start, things we need to look at here. This, by the way, it needs to happen. If we go here, they're able to sort of move you into a kind of weird perk sort of thing, which I hate. I think it's pretty bad. I love playing against the perk or Peerts, as some may say. So we have to play d5, so that's fine. Me being in love with this idea, I think maybe stung us positionally, but we made it work tactically throughout the game by inducing that hook. So, as I said, if creating that hook at the end of the day is what actually won us the game, then it's justified. If not, then what we really need to do is just come up with another plan. Alternatively, instead of moving that rook, for instance, or before we move the knight, we could play this. If they play this, we could just go here. I know they have this, but let's say here. This is what I'm worried about, so we can preemptively just play this if that's what we're worried about, because I don't want to give away the bishop pair. So this position, I mean, it seems a bit convoluted for them to not castle kingside, but anyway, let's paste the game into the engine. So download raw. Okay, and this time I will not forget to have the audio on while we are analyzing. Apologies for that in the last game, but I hope you were able to follow along anyway. That looks like a good graph. Okay, I think our sack might have been signed, which is good to see. 92.3% accuracy for us. It's not a brilliancy. We had 2 dubious moves, 3 interesting moves. They had 1 blunder. I would love to see what that was. It must have been their response to the sack, but okay, let's flip the board. And let's get the engines up just so we can let's just run Stockfish. So we got into this position here. Now I know c5 is I think I may have even mentioned it during the stream, but sacking this pawn to help open up the position can be quite good. And then bringing out the knight, say here, threatening to recapture the pawn. So that may be what we should have done. It's seems to be about equal with c5 and castles, which I think we played in the game. Castles, fair enough. Bishop e3. So the game is even right now. It's still calling for c5, h6, c5, a5. I'm not always the biggest fan of h6 kind of position if I don't need to. Now in this game there was no sort of bishop and dark square bishop, or sorry, queen and dark square bishop battery to kind of hammer on that potential weakness, but again it's saying c5 is the move here, and if they take, it's saying just to defend it, but if they take, then we have a definite advantage. Knight b to d7, which is what I was kind of saying, they defend the pawn. Now we attack the pawn again, a3, knight e4. Okay, bishop takes, and this is just massive for us because, yeah, we play here. Bishop takes. Now, little note is that obviously this rook is hanging, but I have played, because I fiend Keto with the dark, with the black pieces quite often. I have resisted, like for instance in the Accelerated Dragon, for example, I have resisted taking this rook, much to my opponent's surprise, like over the board many times. And I think I will continue to do so. You can even see with the engine here, the engine is saying just to take the bishop. It's still winning to take the rook, but strategically that Dutch square bishop is so important as an attacking piece and the defending piece, especially, that it's just not usually worth giving up. But we take this, we get nice control of the center. Okay, this looks good. So in future, with these kind of positions, and I mean, I play the Grunfeld, so I should have been more than happy to play this and sack that pawn to try to start open up the position. And again, usually in these positions, whenever you are centering your play along this sort of thing, it's just usually not the best. I don't really know what I was thinking. I kind of alluded to that throughout the game. But okay, we played this, which is not great, as the engine is saying either h6, c5, or the knight here. I wasn't considering h6, but I was considering c5. I was considering this, but I said that I thought this was going to be a mistake. And it is. White has a very slight edge. This was useless. And now, because of that, our plan now of putting the rook here actually is winning. Like we do have a very slight advantage right now. So castles, e5. Okay, see, I fell in love with this, and now we play this. It wanted this immediately. If you're putting the rook there, you immediately play in the center. Okay, that makes sense. I wanted that weakness. We played here anyway. Go back. We took, which is good. Possibly even the best move. He takes queen d6, best move. Best move, by far the best move. Nice. Okay. This was not good. Now, I knew it wasn't going to be good for them if they did that. Interestingly, though, we did not play the best move here. The best move is to take. Knight takes and knight e4, trying to exploit this. Now, I thought, yeah, as the engine is saying here, they either go here or here, but it is not suggesting c3. It is not suggesting c3. Why? Why not c3? Oh, because the bishop. Because we get the bishop then. And we win a piece. Ah, that's nice. So they have to play the bishop back, and that is ugh. Ugh. Of course we can sack this. And the pressure here will tell. Okay. Very, very interesting. Okay. So I knew that wasn't going to be a good move. It is saying alternatively to go back to d7, which I didn't like because I was thinking already from the very from move from what move is this? From move 5, I was thinking about sacking the bishop. You know, so okay, here, and bishop to f5 isn't bad. It's not bad, but we do give away our advantage. Now they can play c3, but they play c4, which swings it back to us a little bit. a6, not a5. So the advantage is swinging back and forth, as you can probably see. Okay. Ooh, queen d8, self-pinning. Really? I thought e6 was by far the best move. I suppose the reason that, if you want to sort of be logical about it, it does walk into this. And then you maybe have to put your queen on an inferior square unless your entire game plan has been to sack the bishop, which mine was in some form, maybe. The possibility remained. Okay. D8. D8 or F8. D8 is equal. F8 slight advantage to white. D7 slight advantage. Also slight advantage to white. They pin us here. Now I thought knight e4 was pretty good. Thought it was pretty good. Keeps the balance of the game. But now, oh, it's there. It's fighting for it. The bishop sack is fighting for the top three. It is fighting. I want to see if it reaches depth 30, and it's in there. I'm going to be happy. But it's going to be in the top 5 moves somewhere, I think. Yeah, so obviously I said in game queen c8 was an option here. Just stepping out of the pin, making this knight move. Maybe once the knight moves, then it becomes a stronger idea. And there it is, step 30, bishop takes h3. It's definitely not the best move position. It definitely makes it slightly worse, but I think practically it's very, very difficult to deal with. But I do want to investigate this queen to c8. Queen to c8. And now my line that I was considering was this, and what happens when the knight goes. The knight goes here, which is what I was thinking. And now, again, it's saying to play very simply. Just protect the knight, because this is coming. Okay, and we have a slight advantage. Nothing is major here. Nothing is game defining. But we go here, we sack the bishop, which is interesting. It gives it interesting, which means that it's a good try at the advantage, practically, probably. We take, and the position is completely equal, 0-0 at this point. Okay. Now, they needed to resist the urge to take that knight. But I understand why. You see, I think if they had more time, and they spent a lot of time trying to calculate this, as I did, it was very, very hard to come up with a plan. But as you can see, by far, the way to keep the balance here is to either take this knight or defend the pawn, which the knight would take. And that is how we won the game. But you need to be able to see that. And I didn't even see that until it was actually time to put the moves on the board. And the board state had changed a little bit, so it was a little bit easier to visualize. Once you realize that the pawn can get here, it attacks this knight, and this knight can then take, you can sack the exchange, and this check will force the pawn onto f3, creating unstoppable mate threats, meaning you have to give away the queen. So this gives us the advantage now. And it says to take with the rook. They're both relatively equal. They're both good. If you take with the, I guess the same thing happens. The rook's just not hanging then. That's interesting. I didn't think about that. So if we go here, see, I wouldn't even be thinking about taking with the rook necessarily, right? Because material's equal, right? We take with the rook. It just seems like all the same issues exist in the position. Here. Wow. Okay, I did not see that defense. It kind of like our game a couple of videos ago where the queen could swing back. I didn't see that defense. Interesting. I didn't see that. Not taking the knight. Defends the mini square. Interesting. Okay. But we have 3 pawns for the piece. And we do still have a little bit of an advantage. Interesting. Okay. Wow. Crazy. Okay, but if we take with the pawn, they go here. And knight h2, knight d2, going to be pretty similar, I think. Okay. Correct. And they need to find this bishop move. They just need to find it. And I did not see that. We're still winning. We still have an advantage. We're not actually winning the game, but yeah. Stop this pawn. Bishop g2. Queen f4. What is this? Okay, sure. Okay. Four pawns for the piece. 3 pawns for the piece. 4 pawns for the piece. Okay. A lot of work to be done. The sack is sound. The sack is sound. But this was a blunder. This was a blunder. This allows us to play, sink the knight into there, get that pawn onto the mating square, force him to give up the knight. I didn't even see this little saucy move. Bishop d4. Well, this is defended though. What does this actually do? Okay, well, they're not going to do that. All right. I suppose what this does is it stops this. It stops that, doesn't it? It stops the rook chasing the queen away. Okay, but let's say he doesn't act like a complete idiot. Okay, let's say he does just something like this. Oh, it means that the bishop can't. That's crazy. Okay, let's say he sees bishop here. Here, here. Okay, we can't do that here. Or can we? Here? No, because the king moves. The king moves. That's why we can't give the check. Okay. Here. Wait, no, no, no. If they go bishop d7, does not just win the bishop here? Ah, they put the bishop on d7. That's why that does not work. I see. Okay. Queen f4 it is. c6. We just win the piece back. But. We get this. Here, here. Ah, it's not defended. Okay. So here. Ah, yes. Okay. And we win the pawn. Okay. We have a rook for a queen. I mean, it's as simple as that. It's completely winning. Okay, here. Excellent. So the move is that. I mean, taking the pawn is also good there. I think it's like second, third best. So, so our sack was sound. Excellent. Excellent stuff. Sack was sound, even though they did blunder a large advantage to us. They do have a different defense here. What about this? We still go there. Here. 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 Why not just this now? Okay, knight. Because this is still mid, so they have to take it one way or another. Just knight takes. And here. Okay. Here. This seems kind of stupid though. I don't know. Just seems a little bit of weird engine play. But okay. So it won us the game, but the game was in the balance if they played correctly. Alright, if they just bring the bishop back, the game is in the balance. We are ahead, but I would have found it probably very difficult to convert this position. But anyway, where we got to, we gained 36 points. So that to me looks like it's 1991. Good. So next game, if we can win, we'll break 2000.